Deeper than music radio. Behind every great song is a greater story.
Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music. Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music. Deeper than music.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Deeper Than Music Radio, behind every great song is a greater story. I'd like to say what's up to everybody listening to us on the many platforms that we're streamed on. And also wanted to give a plug. I just launched my Roku channel. It's Nias Media, Nious Media channel, the Nias Media channel here on the Roku channel. So go ahead and add that to your Roku channel on the Roku store. And we have a special guest. As a matter of fact, she shared her great content on the Nias Media channel. If you go to the Deeper the Music series, an artist that goes by the name of L25, and she talks about her latest project, Monster. One thing that I like about I think the key component to a great musician is sharing inspiration and hope through their experiences. And one thing that you'll get to know about L25 through this interview with her is that a lot of her music comes from her life experiences. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have artist L25 here on Deeper Than Music Radio. L25, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, doing all right considering the fact of what we got going on in the world right now. But
yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to come and be on the show. Like I said, and as well, thank you for sharing your content on the Deeper the Music series on the Nias Media Roku channel. My first question, L25, the meaning behind your stage name.
Oh, okay. I should have been prepared for that. L25, well, my last name starts with an L.
Okay.
And 25 was a really important age for me. It's when a lot of things changed. I got into some trouble.
Okay.
And I ended up turning my life around at that time. So it's kind of an ode to, I guess, a rebirth, really, from the person that I was. I also started producing music, started producing myself specifically, but I started really getting into production about 2 years ago, give or take. And I wanted a name. I wanted something that you didn't necessarily know I was a woman right off the bat.
Okay.
Because I'm sneaky like that. And, I just also wanted something that kind of fit with the vibe of the sound that I had. Because, you know, a lot of singer-songwriters go by their full name, and so do country artists, and I wanted something that represented the sound and the style of music that I was creating.
Okay. No, that's pretty good. And I wanted to say, like, as far as an artist, like, what are you bringing to music? Like, what is L25's flavor and sound?
Well, it's funny because I started out wanting to make R&B, actually. Because I certainly love to sing that, and I love 808s so much, and I love the percussion style of like hip hop, especially 90s hip hop. But what I ended up making, I found out after I made it, is kind of considered electro pop.
Okay.
And when I started making music, I didn't want to fight my natural inclinations because I was working through like traumatic past experiences, and I was putting that into my art, and I didn't want to fight that. I just wanted to let that happen as naturally as possible, and I liked what I was making. So it's kind of like I use a lot of 808s and a lot of hip hop and R&B. There's a lot of influence there, but I'm definitely making it my own because my vocals are not R&B. You know, I'm a vocalist first, and I really like the challenge of singing something really hard. And so I actually wrote my music to kind of showcase that and build around that first.
Okay. And you mentioned, so initially, did you know that you wanted to be a musician, a creator of music at a young age?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes. I've been doing this my whole life.
Okay.
Like since I was born, I've sung, whatever the right word is for that. I sing a lot. But yeah, definitely. I've played guitar when I was, 15. My dad got me a guitar. I've always played piano. I was self-taught, but my dad's a musician too, so it's always been there.
Oh, okay. So you come from a musical background or musical family. So when they found out that you wanted to do music, were they supportive and just nurtured that talent?
Actually, yeah, I was very, very, very blessed in that department. Everyone's always encouraged me. I mean, you have people that always tell you to stop because they're against it, but like my family and my closest people, they've always been supportive.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because I noticed, like with me, I'm also a musical artist, and I remember a long time ago somebody was like, "Yeah, you're gonna make plastic hits," and then after the TV placements came, hey, no, man, I'm making plastic hits, guys.
Don't get me. Do you know how many people have come out of the woodwork since I started this hard like 2 years ago?
Yeah, isn't that interesting how that works?
Yeah, I remember the time you told me that I sucked.
Yeah, exactly. I also wanted to ask, since you said your music is so eclectic, who are your influences? Like, what other musicians influence you?
Oh man. So now, well, I don't really know who influenced the music that I made. Because I wrote Monster, and actually everything that's on the EP I wrote around June of last summer. It was all around the same time all those songs came out.
Okay.
And at that time, I had heard of Billie Eilish, and I had heard of Banks. So they influenced my sound, especially by the time I recorded everything to be released to the public. I learned a lot from them, and I took a lot of notes from them when I was in the studio, actually doing the vocal stuff. But before that, I mean, I listened to like Modest Mouse and Minus the Bear and all these bands. I listened to bands and that type of music. Or I listened to like, who's a good example? I mean, when I was younger, I listened to TLC and Destiny's Child and
90s staples right there. Yeah.
Yes. And Dr. Dre, like all of that, loved it. That's like all I consumed. So I know I'm influenced by that because I hear things later on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely from there. Or people will tell me like, "Hey, you sound like this person or whatever," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I hear it." But there's nobody that that I like. There's nobody that I consume and listen to right now that I'm trying to emulate. But I definitely take elements that I like.
Okay. So you grab a little bit here, there. I could definitely understand. And you mentioned the track Monster. And like I said, the video that we have on the Deeper Than Music series on the Nice Media Roku channel is a preview or a little bit of background of that EP. Could you tell us, give us the background story behind the song Monster?
Yeah. So when was that? Like 3 years ago, do I tell this whole story? How much time do we have?
Oh, we got time. Because basically I got it. I'm setting this up to play the song. So yeah, the more you want to tell about the song, hey, we got time.
Okay. So 3 years ago, it was, well, how old was I? 29, 28, 27. Probably shouldn't be giving away my age. So it was about 2 years after everything had changed for me. I had gotten in trouble and I like cleaned up and turned my life around, but I was still definitely struggling to process all of the things that I had been through up until that point. And I was just having really bad sleep paralysis, like every night.
Oh, I have sleep paralysis. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, I know. And it was all the time too. I mean, I know I was stressed in my day-to-day life, and I know that was probably part of it. But one night, I fell asleep with the light on. No, it was off. I don't know. It was confusing. So I fell asleep And in my dream, there was like this demon or the devil or something in my dream, right? So I was praying for it to go away. I was asking it to leave. This makes me sound crazy. No one can even see my face right now. I swear I'm not crazy, guys. And so I was praying and I like woke up, but I guess I was still asleep because I couldn't move. And this smoke monster came out of my body and was paralyzed. And so I was like struggling. You know, when you try to break yourself out of it, I don't know how you deal with it, but I would.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I try to snore to wake myself up.
Oh,
so
that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, so that's what I do to wake myself up out of this paralysis. I snore myself back to awake. Yeah.
But I always try to move like a finger, which is like the worst plan. But that's always what I would try to like move a hand first, you know, and kind of jerk myself around. But anyway, that happened. That smoke monster was there, and then it like wiggled down next to me, and then in my dream wake state, I'm like dreaming, but it's like crawling to get to my door to get out of the room, and eventually I wake up for real.
Yeah.
I turned on all the lights and didn't go back to sleep for the rest of the night. And when I wrote Monster, I just wanted to write like a creepy monster song, right? Like,
yeah.
I drew on that experience, and then I also before all of that happened, I was struggling with wanting to kill myself, actually. I was very depressed. And I think a lot of artists I think a lot of people go through that, but I think if you're creative, I've noticed that we can be a little more sensitive sometimes, it seems like.
And somebody spoke to this a while, and I think because I'm a musical artist as well, and it was on Tupac Resurrection, or it was a film about Tupac, and it's true that we see the world differently and we feel the world differently. And then obviously, shout out to Erykah Badu from the DFW area as well. Yeah. An introduction of Tyrone, artists, we're sensitive about our ish, right? So it's our baby. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
So I set that up because I want to go ahead, and we got Monster queued up. And ladies and gentlemen, so you heard the story behind the music. So we're going to go ahead and play Monster here with special guest L25 on Deeper Than Music.
Deeper Than Music Radio.
You climb inside of my window in the dark. I always beg you to leave me alone, but you smile instead and you get inside my head. All those times I gave you what you wanted, but you keep coming back. I am still haunted, and I could really sleep it all. I could really sleep it all. I want you to go. I need you to go. Would you just let me go? I just need you to go. I just wanna sleep. I just need a dream. Would you please let me sleep? Just so I can dream.
Ladies and gentlemen, Monster by L25. Your story, yeah. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I didn't know what to say.
I love the song, but you remind me of an episode I had when I had my with the sleep paralysis. One of the triggers is either if I sleep in too long, I get it, or if I sleep on my back. A lot of times I have sleep paralysis. But I remember one time when you talk about the monster, I remember being 6 years old at the time. We lived in Norfolk, Virginia, and I had sleep paralysis, and there was this dark figure, and it jumped on top of me, and it scared the hell out of me that I came out of my sleep paralysis. But he was moving around, and I couldn't do anything, and the minute he jumped on me, I woke up. So
that's scary.
And a lot of people reference it as a lot of people that have the sleep paralysis, they reference, the stories about being abducted by aliens and you can't move and they're doing all this crazy stuff to you.
Yes.
A lot of victims of sleep paralysis have that. So it's kind of refreshing to meet somebody that has this, because I tell people about it if they're not familiar, like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. but it is alive and real, and it sucks. So yeah, one of my things that I've learned is I just start snoring and I wake myself up. That's how it works a majority of the time, but sometimes it's like I just sit there and wait. Well, I'll wake up anytime now.
Yeah.
You just sit there and wait, right?
Yeah.
So you initially said that you recently learned how to produce music. So what was your creative process prior, and what is your creative process now?
Oh man. Okay, so the reason that I started producing, when I started out, I would write a song on the piano, and then I would develop a vocal melody, because piano is the only instrument I had. And then I would develop a vocal melody, and then I would take it to someone else. And that just it just depended on what I was doing. And when I started trying to put it together so that I could record it, I went through several different producer relationships, and they were all men. And I felt like I can be really submissive sometimes if I'm not careful, especially with men. It's just like my nature, It probably has a lot to do with my whole life. But I felt like a super loss of control. And then I had some arguments with some different people, and my music got taken away from me, and I felt like I couldn't do anything with it because it was all me. You know what I mean? It wasn't all me. It was built together. And that got old really quick because everything I wrote was personal,
Yeah.
So, somebody actually gave me a pirated version of. I use Fruity Loops. Somebody gave me a pirated version, and so I started trying to learn how to use that, and then that crashed and I lost everything. So just anybody that's out there, don't worry, I bought it.
Have a backup to the backup.
Yes.
Yeah, things will crash, and I had that happen a lot, so I understand your pain. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then once I learned how to use FL Studios, my process now, I make like I try to do this every day where it's like half a beat, right? So like I make like a chord progression, and then I put percussion in, and then I just file it away. And then when I'm ready to make a piece of work, I go in and I listen to things, because sometimes I'll hear something right away. I'll be like, ooh, this would sound good with this little melody right here, vocally. And I'll like record it on some cheap headphones and just save those. And then when I'm ready to put out a project, I go through and I pull which ones like I think will fit with that and that I like at the time, and just kind of develop it from there.
And you speak to something, because initially when I'm a hip hop artist, writer, poet. Initially, I didn't want to do the music, the production. I was like, that's way too much, whatever. But I noticed, like you said, there was one I was locked in an indie contract, and it would cost me like $5,000 at the time to buy back the rights to my stuff after we had a fallout. And it was like, and I couldn't release anything for a year. That was part of my contract. Everybody read your contracts. So within that year, I bought my first Casio keyboard and learned how to do the music. And also, I tell people, especially musicians, learn every aspect of the business that you can. It's music business, because ignorance can be costly.
Yes, it can.
And I actually watched a thing on Maya. Similar thing happened in her career. And then you remember that song by I can't think of her name. Oh my goodness, Genie in the Bottle, Christina Aguilera.
Oh, yeah.
That song Fuss, Fuss.
Mm-hmm.
It's Fu Scott Storch, because he's a producer and he screwed her over, and that's the meaning behind that song. So I get exactly what you're talking about. People have been in your situation, so
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, but so we'll get back to the music. I love the name of this title, Arcade Games. Can you give us the story behind that song?
Yes. So, during the time before I turned 25, when I was living on the edge and being crazy, somebody tried to kill me.
Whoa.
Unsuccessfully, I might add. It was, there's really no way around this. It was, drug related. So, they tried to strangle me. And then a year later, I got in trouble and I had to contend with all of that, and I was put away for a year, and I got out, and within February, March, April, May, June, July, within 6 months he had found me again, which is another reason that I developed my artist name, so that I'd be just 1 degree harder to find people from my past.
Yeah.
Because none of them know that I'm it would be hard to figure that out, because it came from something unrelated to them. But he found me online, and I didn't know what WhatsApp is, but I don't even know how he found me, but I got an email that said, this person wants to send you a WhatsApp message. And so I downloaded it. I knew who it was, but I downloaded it, and it was... The first one was, him trying to tell me that he tried to help me out while I was locked up and all this stuff. And then the second one he sent me after I didn't respond was super threatening.
Oh, wow.
Didn't surprise. I would never have given that person any access to myself after everything that had happened anyway. Mm-hmm. But that song came from him, and how people say they don't like to play games. And my bass player walked in while I was creating that song, and she goes, "It sounds like an arcade game in here." And I was like, that's perfect.
Wow. And it's like a super meaning. It's, people play games, arcade games. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the story behind the song, and here is Arcade Games with special guest L25.
Deeper Than Music Radio.
It's always something for nothing with you. Isn't it? 'Cause you're all about your money and your girls and your shoes. If you want me dead, I'll take my chances. Go ahead, make your move. If you want me dead, I'll take my chances. Go ahead and shoot. I've already done 1,000 times. Do you even know what that looks like? It's always bad news It's always something with you. You hate God and good people. They represent what you cannot do. If you want me dead, I'll take my chances. Go ahead, make your move. If you want me dead, I'll take my chances. Go ahead, I've got nothing to lose. I've already died 1,000 times. Do you even know what that looks like? Come and get me back there if you try. Know you're trying, know you're tired, looking at you from the other side. The other side. Somebody side. We'll do it for on this side, doing fine. I know you're trying. I know you're tired. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Yeah. Doing fine. Finally
Ladies and gentlemen, Arcade Games L25 here on Deeper Than Music Radio. So, and one thing that I got out of the monster trailer that we have on the Roku channel for the Deeper Than Music series is your music's empowering based on your experiences. I feel like music is your therapy, right? Your shelter and to help cope with all the
Yes.
stuff that you've been through. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Because I mean, you've been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Man, what in your career? What has been the most difficult aspect of being a musician or musical artist?
You mean outside of believing in myself? Because that took a really long time to settle in and build
Yeah.
confidence. But you mean outside influences? What was the hardest?
I just overall, I guess that would be believing in yourself would be the hardest thing.
Yeah, because I run my own sound a lot. Like when I perform, I use the tracks and then I sing and play keyboard. So I'll play a synth part or I'll play the piano part or whatever. And I can't tell you how many technical difficulties I've run into in the beginning and still do sometimes, actually. Even when I'm working with an experienced sound person. And I think after everything I've been through, you learn to take on responsibility and to take not the blame for everything that goes wrong, but you have to look at yourself if something goes wrong in your life, right? Especially if the same thing keeps going wrong over and over again, because you're the common denominator.
Yes.
So, especially with relationships, because I used to be well, I'm just bad at picking men. Well, no. There's certain things that I do that attract certain type of people, and that leads to, it's not them all the time,
Yeah. You know what's funny? Don't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
One day my mom told me this because I picked the same type of woman. So one day we're sitting there and I'm dating this woman and my mom's like, you ever, in her infinite wisdom and being very smart about saying this, she's like, have you ever taken a different road but arrived at the same destination?
Yeah.
I had to assess what I was being with it, and needless to say, me and the woman I was dating, we broke up shortly afterwards. Yeah, you're right.
It's so true, though.
Yeah.
It's true. I would always be like, what am I doing wrong? And it's well, I'm picking the same type of thing.
Yeah.
It just looks different, but
I will say that you're very talented, and it's interesting. Your songs are about empowering. It's interesting that you say the self-confidence piece is the biggest challenge.
it really is. I still struggle with it sometimes.
And on the flip side, what has been in your career? What has been the most rewarding part as of now with your music career?
Learning to do it myself. 100 and okay, one of my most recent shows right before the shutdown from Corona, I played an event called She-Rock. I really love helping women, and I really, 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 really want to use my music to help other women more than anything. I want to help all people, but I have a place in my heart for women that have suffered like trauma.
Yeah.
And this woman came up to me. I did like a 45-minute set. It was called She-Rock, so it was either female-fronted bands or all-female bands or female solo acts like me. And this woman that I had never met came up to me and she was like, every lyric of yours spoke to me. And I was like, are you in recovery? And she goes, yeah. And she was in recovery for the same thing. She had experienced a lot of the same things. And that, like, I like to think I'm helping people, but I've never had it validated like that, where someone directly tells me and then I maintain a relationship with that person on social media and I get to see them in their walk. You know what I mean? Like that was that. And this summer, last summer and then this summer, if it happens, please, I hope it does. There's a Girls Rock Dallas. Have you heard of that? It's a girls' summer camp.
Oh no, I never heard of that. That's so you're affiliated with the Girls Rock Dallas?
Yes. After we get off this call, we should totally talk about that because you'd probably love to interview them too. Because it's all women in music and stuff, and it's ages. I think it's ages like little girls like 5 all the way up to 18, pretty much.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about that.
Yeah, well, actually, Jordan from the High Moons is the one that got me onto that too. So
shout out to Jordan.
But I got to work with a group of 3 young women that were like 15 to 17, and that was huge for me because that was the age when I started. That was a lot of things happened to me at 15 that kind of spurred all the other, like a domino effect in my life. So bad. So the opportunity to speak to other girls that have that passion for something that we can, because you have that initial foundation that you can bond over something that's positive.
Yeah.
Then just to, I don't know, there's a lot of hope in that. It helps me as much as it helps them because I wish I had a woman like me when I was 15. Oh my God. Just somebody that was like, I haven't arrived, but just somebody that had a passion for what I was doing that could have given me some, maybe not even guidance, but just hope in a future.
Yeah, no, because I've actually, my daughter, she's 13, and we've last year we've had to go to counseling and a lot of like I'm a guy, so prior to having a daughter, there's a lot of stuff or the pressures I didn't know that little girls had to deal with. And so she's going through adolescence, and we had to go to counseling because, she didn't really know how to properly deal with stress. The way she dealt with stress was self-destructive. So, no, I'm definitely all for that. We need to talk because we're in a phase right now. And it's like I joke because we have a family cat. Her and the family cat were very close. But me and the family cat don't know which Olivia will get each day. But I have your song Paper Cages. Do you want to give us the story on Paper Cages before we showcase it?
Yeah, actually, so the short version is when I was, I went to jail. Obviously, I guess most people have probably figured that out, but I went to jail for a year. I went to jail for 7 months, county, and 3 different counties to be exact. And then I went to a 6-month judicial treatment facility for addiction. So while I did not grow up that way, I've never been institutionalized. The closest I've been is a public school. And, that experience changed my life for the best. It was the best thing that could have happened to me at that time because I would have died otherwise. Mm-hmm. But Paper Cages is about thinking that you're trapped and that you're chained, but that's not real. A lot of that's imagined. And if you just confront and process the things that have made you be self-destructive or even hurt others, then it is because, like, for example, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I promise you, because I've been through every single thing that could have broken somebody. Like, throughout my life, and in a very short span of time, actually, a lot of things happened at one time. And it's that, it's a paper cage. You can break out of it. You just have to believe and have faith in yourself and find a community that can help you do that.
There you go. Man, that's powerful, a powerful testimony. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go with special guest L25, Paper Cages on Deeper Than Music.
Sounds like, oh no, here we go again. You get what you paid for, and I know these bars won't ever bend. Tell me what comes next. You're always good at that. Building paper cages, yeah. Over and over and over and over and over again. Here we go. Let it go. I'm just a number that sleeps in a room with a number on the door so they remember who's who. Sometimes they feed me, I stare at the TV with a second it's creeping up, crawling the walls, it's like, oh no, here I go again. I get what I paid for, and I know these bars won't ever bend. Oh no. Tell me what comes next. You're always good at that. Building paper cages, yeah. Over and over and over and over and over again. Here we go. Let it go. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. But the harder I try, the harder it hits. Is it over? Tell me what comes next. You're always good at building cages. Is it over? Is it over? Is it over?
Ladies and gentlemen, L25, Paper Cages.
Is it over?
There is a song that I want you to listen to and get your thoughts on it. It's called "Every Little Girl" by Angie Martinez. I don't know if you know who Angie Martinez is. She's like one of the greatest air personalities. She's out of New York. She actually interviewed Tupac before he got killed.
Oh, wow.
But she's very powerful, and she samples the song by Sting called "Fragile." And she has a line that says, "What would they do if they knew your heart was fragile?" And just basically talking about her struggles to become one of the greatest on-air personalities, to like relationship that almost tore her apart, and then the rumors and stuff like that. Your testimony reminds me of that song, "Every Little Girl." Matter of fact, I'll send you the link. As with every great episode, and again, thank you for sharing your story. We're gonna close out. We're gonna close out with the last song you sent me, "Underwater." But before we do that, we have 3 minutes, and I just want it's your time, self promotion. Where can people hear your music? What do you got going on in the future? So it's your time.
My time to shine, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have my music streaming on all platforms, and it's just the 4 songs that I sent you so far. I haven't released anything else yet. But Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. I also have a YouTube channel. I make funny skits, and they're usually on brand. I have a skit that I just put out called L25itis, and it's about you catch L25itis, and it turns you into like animal hybrids, and you get monsters stuck in your head, and the only way to cure it is to listen to my EP Paper Cages super loud. And I played a news anchor, and I had this dinosaur mask that I wore, and I chased myself. I used editing and stuff to make that happen, because I'm an only child and I've had to entertain myself for years, and that's what happens. So YouTube would probably be the most fun, or social media. You can search me by searching L25 Music on most platforms. That's L as in the letter, and then 25. And music, it's no weird spellings or anything. And I have a website too. It's L25 Productions, but it would have the same information. It's just all in one place.
Okay.
But it has the same links to everything I just talked about.
Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you go, L25. We have 2 minutes left, and I want to close out with this song. Can you give us the cliff notes for Underwater before we close out the show?
Actually, Underwater is super simple. It's just about being overwhelmed and feeling like nothing can fix it. It's just a basic human emotion. There's not a specific story behind it.
Okay. So ladies, you guys heard it, a very powerful testimony and the story behind L25's music. L25, thank you again. And also, we're going to have more of her content on the Deeper Than Music, L25 series on Nias Media Roku channel. So that'll be coming soon. So ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here with special guest, myself and L25, closing out another great episode of Deeper Than Music. Thank you for listening.
It gets muddy in these waters, but I still want to swim. Can you breathe when you are under? Or do you just pretend? I could show you to the bottom, then we won't be friends anymore.